my name is Leah Lachlan, and I was so excited when Mary Kay approached me with the opportunity to speak about money management and wealth management, because it's a topic that I've become very, very passionate about and that's very near and dear to me. So I did not start my Mary Kay business with a lot of money management skills, but I've spent a lot of time educating myself and reading books so that I could avoid some of the common money management pitfalls that we can all fall into. And more importantly than that, I really wanted to use the earning potential that we have in Mary Kay to bless my family, to create a lot of stability in our future, and to be able to bless others. And so there's two really big concepts that I've come to understand as my relationship with wealth has grown. And the first one is that wealth is not about what you spend or the material possessions that you accumulate. It's really about the savings and the investments that you're accumulating for the future. And creating wealth is both a great responsibility and a privilege. And the more you can accumulate in wealth for the future, the more financial stability you have for your family and for the people that you love the most. Also, the more you have, the more you're able to give back. So money management and creating wealth is really all about putting people first, especially the people that you love the most. The second concept is the concept of gratitude and the concept of remembering that we have enough. If you're always living for more or just trying to keep up with the Joneses, that concept of gratitude and the concept of having enough is always receding, and you just never get there, or you never arrive and you're never content. But enough is a great place to be, and gratitude is a great place to be. It's when you realize that you do have what you need, and it's a settled, calm place where above all else, you feel gratitude and recognize the things that you have. You know, I had some negative feelings about money when I was younger and when I was growing up. I was actually completely afraid of credit cards and consumer debt because I watched my parents struggle in a debt cycle throughout my childhood. My dad worked very hard at his job outside the home so that my mom could stay at home with 5 kids. And so my dad supported a family of 7 on a very average income. And so they did struggle and they did live paycheck to paycheck. And I grew up thinking that is just how life was, and that's how it would always be, and I just thought that that was normal. But my Mary Kay business has taught me that it doesn't have to be like that, and you can create wealth and abundance regardless of the income that you make. And it's funny how we visualize things when we're younger. There's this image in my mind that really stuck with me as a child, and as a kid I thought of money in the world like a pie. And I thought that if someone had a really big slice, it meant that only left a really small slice for someone else. So I actually thought it might be a bad thing to have a lot of money because that meant that someone else would have very little. And of course, I no longer believe that. And my Mary Kay business has shown me that you can create wealth at any amount of income that you have. And I had to really reprogram my brain to understand that creating wealth is a responsibility that we have. And when we manage our money well, anyone can create wealth and stability for the future. So it's important to understand how you think about money. And it's important to educate yourself about what money is and how to manage it. I really believe it's so important to understand your thoughts about money because it allows you to create wealth versus living paycheck to paycheck. You could make $1 million a year, but if you spend $1.1 million, you're still living paycheck to paycheck and haven't really created any wealth or haven't created financial stability for your family in your future. So it's not always about how much you earn. It's about how you manage what you've been given. And when we learn to do that, it allows to create stability for the future. Many people grew up hearing things like money is the root of all evil and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And many people can sometimes think that money or having money can be bad. And I really don't believe that. Money is neither good nor bad. It's just a thing. I've grown to learn that money is amoral. Now, people who have money can use it in positive ways and can use it to bless others, or they can use it in negative ways, but money in and of itself is neither good nor bad. I do believe we all have an emotional connection to money that can be positive or negative, And it's important to be aware of how you think about it. For example, I have a good friend who, when she was growing up, every time she had a fight with her mom would take her shopping, which would just make her feel better and would make up for the fight that they had. And so she learned to spend money for comfort. And she realized that she did that, and it didn't necessarily create a good financial situation in her life because she was spending for comfort. And she had to realize that she had that emotional connection with money so that she could manage her finances better. I have another friend who, every time her dad got a promotion for more money, she would have to move to another city. And so she connected money with pain and with losing friends and with discomfort. And so as an adult, she would completely avoid managing her money because money to her meant pain. And she had to learn that she had this negative emotional connection with money. And once she had that awareness, she could work through those thoughts and stop avoiding learning how to manage her money in a positive way. And so when we have these misunderstandings about money, or maybe negative emotional connections with money, it's more difficult to create wealth and to serve the people that we loved. I've witnessed financial secrets and insecurities that can destroy relationships and even ruin businesses. And I think there's a correlation between personal struggles and financial situations. I've noticed consultants or directors struggling in their business, and sometimes it's connected to not managing money well. And so awareness starts with educating yourself and really understanding your emotional connection with money. And there are really great books out there that you can read that can help to teach you about how to manage your money well. Because we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, I was always looking for ways to make money at a very young age. When I was in elementary school, my sisters and I had a lemonade stand. And we weren't just doing it for fun. We were doing it to make a profit. I also started babysitting at the age of 11. In 5th grade, I actually wanted to play the cello in our school orchestra, but we had to rent the instrument, which cost extra and my parents couldn't afford. So I had a good family friend who allowed me to come over to her house. I would clean her house once a week, and she would pay me enough money so that I could afford to play the cello. My music career didn't move past 5th grade, but it was very fun to be a part of that orchestra in elementary school. Then when I was 15, I started working at a grocery store all through high school and college, just so I could buy the extra things that I wanted and buy clothes and have extra spending money. I knew that money equaled choices, and that was always very motivating to me. Although my parents couldn't give me a lot in a material sense, what I did gain was a really great work ethic and an awareness of how to create income and a respect for money. I was afraid of credit card debt in college because I watched my parents struggle. They really drilled it into my mind to not get a credit card and to not get into credit card debt. And I took that very seriously. And to this day, I have never carried a credit card balance. So when I started my Mary Kay business, I was in a great financial situation and had some basic money management skills, like how to balance a checkbook and how to pay my bills. But that was about the extent of my skills. And so once I started my Mary Kay business, I learned that those skills for managing my personal finances weren't going to fly anymore, because money management for a business is a whole different ballgame. So I knew I needed to learn more about money. And I remember the day that I realized that I needed to take money management more seriously. I had just finished my 2nd year as a sales director, and our unit worked really hard that year to finish a big goal that we had missed. And so my national sales director at the time, Pam Shaw, she called me on July 1st. She knew that we had missed a big goal, and she just wanted to check in and see how I was doing. And so we had this really great conversation. And at the end of the conversation, she said, go get a massage and pamper yourself for the day. You've worked really hard. Go do that before you get back to work. And I remember this moment so clearly. I was standing in my walk-in closet in my bedroom, and we hung up the phone, and I sort of had this emotional come apart standing there. And I want to tell you why. And the reason that it was sort of emotional in that moment is because massages and pampering yourself was not something that was ever done in my home while growing up. In fact, it was considered an unnecessary luxury. And I was uncomfortable spending my money on this, even though I could afford it. I still wasn't sure if I could afford it. As a top director, I was making a great income. We didn't have any consumer debt, but I still had such an uneasy feeling about money because I didn't have any goals or clarity about our financial situation. All I knew is that a lot of money was coming in and it was enough to cover the things that we needed. And so that was the day on July 1st, after talking to Pam Shaw, that I got very serious about tracking my spending in every area of my personal life and my business. And so I looked at every bank statement at the end of every month and tracked every transaction within categories. So I knew how much we spent on groceries and how much we spent on dining and how much I spent on postage. And this discipline created a new level of awareness about our financial situation. That new awareness led to different decisions about what to spend money on and what not to spend money on. And it also led to us setting new financial goals, which we had never had before that. We didn't even have to put ourselves on a strict budget. We just started tracking, which led to awareness, which led to better financial decisions. The very first year I started doing this, we were able to save and invest $30,000 more than we had the previous year, totaling almost $45,000 that we saved. And the only thing that we changed was tracking. We have continued to practice this financial discipline, and it's allowed us to be able to live debt-free and build retirement accounts that are unusual for a couple our age. We were also able to pay for my husband Cliff to go to law school. My Mary Kay business was our only income for 3 years while he was in law school, and we were able to pay for it in cash without taking out any student loans while still living debt-free and saving and investing. As I learned more about money and how to manage it, it created this desire in me to save more and invest more. And when you want to invest more, it usually means you have to make more money or spend less, but I wanted to do both. And so our financial goals have kept me very, very motivated to work hard in my Mary Kay business to create more income. And it's also helped me to be disciplined in my spending. So it's important to be disciplined in your spending so that you can invest in things of greater value for your future and so that you can prioritize your spending. At the end of my life, I would rather be able to say that I created wealth for the people that I love the most and that I was able to give back rather than just collecting material possessions. Because wealth is about what you accumulate in savings and investing, not what you spend and not about the material possessions that you have. Building wealth does take discipline, sacrifice, and hard work. And I do want to make this point that material possessions and nice things are not bad at all. They're not wrong. I want to have nice things, and I think it's okay to do that. But for me, I wanted to trust that I wasn't attached to material possessions. I wanted to discipline myself so that I knew that they didn't have any power over me. And I wanted my priority to be about my family and giving back. And so I decided one year, and you might want to sit down for this, but I decided one year not to spend any money on clothes, accessories, handbags, manicures, pedicures, or hair for an entire year. I wanted to focus on what I had, and I wanted to learn to be grateful for that and to show myself that those extra things were not ultimately fulfilling. And so as a top director one year, I grew out my hair and I did my own manicures and pedicures, and I re-wore the abundance of nice clothes that were already in my closet. I had to learn to be okay with my unit seeing me in the same dress on the top director trip that maybe I wore at seminar, because I wanted to model what good stewardship looked like. I wanted my unit and area to see me live well because of the financial blessing this business has been for my family, but I also want them to see me live frugally and to value people more than I value material abundance. And honestly, I don't even remember that year being difficult, that year of not spending money on clothes and accessories. It was actually very freeing, and we were able to save a lot of money that year. My hope is that we don't think about frugality and living with less as deprivation, but as freeing ourselves up for something new in your business and for your family. It can actually be very liberating, and nothing is more fulfilling than creating security and stability for the people that you love the most. And I think people think that improving their relationship with their finances has to be extreme, or that they have to be really great with numbers or know a lot about finance, but I don't really believe it has to be like that. It can be a very gradual process, and it can also be very simple. For example, like I said before, when Cliff and I got serious about managing our family finances, We didn't put ourselves on a strict budget, and we didn't have to become financial wizards. We just simply started tracking every purchase that we made on a very simple Excel spreadsheet. That tracking led to awareness, and awareness led to more saving. And so what do I hope for my family and my future and my children, and for my area and for the future of Mary Kay? I hope that we can all learn to be good stewards of our money and to take personal responsibility for our financial health and for creating wealth. I hope that we can all be intentional with our purchases and with our investments. And most importantly, that we can all get to that wonderful place of knowing that we have enough and feeling grateful for having what we need.